working with the local church to take the hope of Christ to every student in the United States. This is First Priority. Now here are your hosts, Steve Cherrico and Brad Schelling.
Welcome 2024.
All right.
Hey, Steve.
That's good news, Brad.
It is great news.
You made it.
I'm not sure what to say.
I'm pretty sure I made it too.
Are you surprised that I made it?
Hell no, you made it. The rest of us, we'll see.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
You made it too.
Thank you for that.
Congratulations.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for someone to say, yeah, you too.
You sound like one of those people celebrating birthdays that are like, you don't need to celebrate just making it another year. It just means you're alive.
That's right. 6 feet above, not 6 feet under.
That's right. It is a big accomplishment.
Actually, 6 feet under is a bigger accomplishment. We want to go there?
No, we don't. No, where's 2024 taking us? That's where I'm going to go right now.
So before we get to 2024, let's talk about 2023.
What do you got?
Well, that was a pretty good year.
It was a great year.
Thinking back, do you have a moment or a couple moments for you? I have a couple, so that were just 2023 good.
Well, I mean, my 2023 moments go back to family.
Okay.
Because my third child graduated high school, valedictorian, Summit High School. My oldest got married. Yeah, not to leave the other two kids out, but yeah, two big moments for those two kids. And they don't write books on this phase of life. They write books on getting married.
Interesting thought.
They write books on having kids, on raising kids. But when they get to the point of graduating and leaving, then that's not really, there's not a lot of books out there. Jim Burns just wrote one not so long ago. Keep them welcome, Matt, out and your mouth shut, kind of a
interesting
thing. Yeah, but there's not a lot. We just try to have fun. We played tag in the dark last night. So
all of you?
Well, it was me, Erica, Casey, and George. It's the 11-year-old's idea, of course.
Of course it was.
And the college student does it begrudgingly, but then has a great time once we get started. So it was a good night.
That is hysterical.
Mm-hmm. I'll write a book about playing hide and seek in the dark.
Probably should.
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed that you didn't have any hospital visits.
Well, yeah. We've lived there for 12 years. I think everybody knows where stuff is.
That's awesome.
Awesome. So how about you? What's 2023?
Man, I actually met with my staff team this week as we were jumping back in.
Yeah.
This was my favorite year of work ever.
Really?
And yeah, it really was. It was my favorite year of work ever. It was the most trying for the first 3/4 of it. And so in the midst of that, I didn't really know it would end there.
Okay.
But man, I am so enjoyed the teams that I got to work with this past year.
Yep. That
makes me excited about 2024. And then on a personal note, we sent our first one to school.
Yep.
And that was a big moment for us. And my wife is just good. She's just good, man. So one of the first things that happens when we sent him off to kind of prep to go to school and gone yet was we disappeared with the other two and did a trip, just the four of us.
Sure. How
brilliant is that?
Yeah.
Right. Let's establish and keep family established, even though one is, bouncing out. So it was an exhausting year. This is also a year that at the end of 2023, I was ready for a nap. Yep. Maybe 4 of them.
Me too.
Right.
Me too.
So this was the most shut down I was during the break that I've been in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's 2023 was a absolute beast and I enjoyed it.
It's good.
So 2024 is going to be fun.
It's good.
Yep.
It's good. I think as far as work goes, I would say the same thing. It's a lot of tension. Our issues list is long.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's ever been longer than when I opened the document yesterday morning for the first time and be like, I don't remember there being this many things. I really did shut down for a week. But the tension is good because it's all things that are growing.
Yeah.
And we've never been at this place growing so much and being engaged with so many things as we have this year as well. And I think that's the fun part, right? We're all heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it is fun. Well, and that leads me to where I would like for us to go today, if you're willing.
Sure.
And that is, it's the first real discussion for us as a group, as First Priority, as the staff family, right?
Yep.
And so in that first real discussion, I thought it'd be good for you to remind us vision and mission, right? Remind us of those things. Reality is just about everybody who watches this, not all, but the majority who watch this or listen to it, you can probably spit it out with your eyes closed twice backwards because we've just beat it into you, right?
Sure.
But I do think it would be good for us to go through some vision and mission. I thought about just the reality that in our focus for 2024, it's all new, right? It's all new focus, but it's all the same.
Yeah, very much so.
Right? The burden is the same. The burden hasn't changed.
Yep.
But all of the things that we're about to go after, that's a bad word, the majority of, is going to be new.
Yeah.
Because it's got its new sets of challenges.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd love for us to go today if you're up for it.
I'm very much up for it.
Okay. So why don't you start with vision? Where are we from vision?
Well, the vision is to take the hope of Christ to every student.
Okay. Now slow down a little bit with that and let's walk through it. No, funny guy. Nice.
Take.
We've adjusted the vision statement a couple times over the last 10 years. Let's talk about the to take. Why there?
Well, very little have we adjusted the mission statement.
Still adjusted a little bit.
We have.
We'll argue about vision and mission later, by the way. Keep going. You guys are going to hear us argue about that. Keep going. Yep.
I don't know that we are going to argue over that because I'm going to take you in a different direction than that. But
okay, keep going.
To take, can I go back to where the adjustment that we made?
Yeah, please. Yeah. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, you say 10 years. The first one was the hope of Christ in every student.
Yep.
And we get into those, are we going to, or is it in? What is it? Is God going to do his part? We can't really change hearts.
That's right. There you
it's
go.
God's job, the Holy Spirit of God's job to change lives.
Yep.
What we can do is to take the hope of Christ to every student, and it is an action.
We are not responsible for transformation.
Correct.
We're responsible for delivery.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And that's what we do. Equip students to deliver the good news of Jesus to their peers.
Yep.
And so it is, to me, an appropriate change, even though I like to say, hey, our vision is to see the end result.
Yep.
And even our guarantee, when we talk through our traction process, our proven process, we guarantee that students will come to know Jesus if this process is followed.
Yep.
And so far, every time we've done it, even in the worst of situations, that has happened.
Yep.
And so I still kind of like the previous, but this is accurate to say we take. It's to take. We go out, therefore, into all the nations. And
then I'm going to jump on the hope of Christ.
Okay.
Why that language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not to take the gospel?
Mm-hmm.
Why not to take the scriptures?
Yep.
Why not to take the book of James, right? No, we are a very clearly focused to put your hope in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, right? That's our clear focus of who we are.
Yep.
It's our spoke, which we'll talk about later, but it's our spoke in the wheel.
Yep.
So to take the hope of Christ to every student. Well, why every student? Because 2 Peter says he desires to lose none.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So it becomes very clear the why, right? But I think it's fair for us to walk through it to make sure we all understand the why.
Yep. I agree. And even the hope of Christ, where I thought you were going to go with when you said that is why the hope of Christ. You went into the why. I went into the language. Why not the gospel? It's because that's churchy language.
Yeah.
It's Jesus language. It's biblical language, right? It's language we all use as believers, but the hope of Christ is, hope is a key word in our culture.
Right now,
it's a
for sure.
Big,
for sure,
hairy, audacious word. And so to tie into that, to say this is the hope, it's not all the other things, the mentorship, all the things that you can get into to say, hey, this is why I'm alive. It's I'm created in the image of Christ, alive.
Yeah, if we're going to go churchy for a minute, the idea of using the hope of Christ, Christ is also offensive to some.
Yeah.
The idea of a Messiah that has come is also offensive to some, right? You can go where there still is the sharpening of the sword, even though the language is not churchy.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, and we have to be who we are, right?
Correct.
We can't be afraid of it. And
correct.
We get the pushback all the time, every day, from a principal or a social media Mongol, whatever the case might be. And we just walk through that.
Good.
So,
all right. So then the next one.
The next part. Where I'm going to take you, though, is our niche.
Okay.
Because what we focus in on is students reaching students. And so
it's good.
We go right down into the club, into Invite Week, into the school, which happens at the school, right? Students reaching students. When we talk about taking the hope of Christ to every student, how do we do that? right? And that's where you were going with the argument about mission and vision, right? And there's layers to that. There's 4 layers to that if we want to get into that part of it as well.
Deep dive. Go ahead.
I can.
Go ahead.
But our niche that helps us accomplish our vision is students reaching students.
Yeah.
And that differentiates us from a lot of other ministries. But that is the core of who we are and what we do. We want to empower this generation of students to reach their peers. And so I can talk about that. I can preach sermons on 16 different angles of that aspect of it, right? The youth ministry of the world, it's alive and well. But yeah, the mullet and the white passenger the 15 passenger van pulling up to the school, the guy's not cool like he was in 1988, right?
Yeah.
That's considered creepy. You and I walking into school, we're questioned now.
The mullet's always been creepy. The mullets, for me, just so you know.
The mullets are gone. Well, they're coming back.
They're not in the private schools.
Gone, yeah.
They're not in the private schools.
The
mullets are back.
So anyway, you digress.
I digressed. Sorry.
But us as upper 48, 49, whatever, however old we are, guys walking into a public school, we're questioned first, right? But to send a student into the school who understands the culture, who understands the language, who understands the text lingo, all the things, whatever the case might be, they're where it is, 40 hours a week, right? And so that is what we do. That is our niche and how we accomplish that vision.
And we shouldn't pretend it's harder work.
Mm-hmm.
The empowerment of someone to go and be the gospel on campus, who is a 15-year-old kid with all of the emotions, all of the things running through their vein, like all the stuff going on a high school campus. Hey, you're 15, go reach your campus. That's stinking hard work. So it's not for the faint of heart.
It's not.
And it's not for those who are looking for the easiest route. But I do think it is the place that there is the most fruit.
It is.
And if we're a fruit-based ministry, then hard things are just part of the process.
And what you're talking about there, so the fruit is two-sided, right? We talk about this often, I hope, that we celebrate the decisions that are made. The first time, the new believers coming to know Jesus, beginning their walk with Christ. That is the second students reaching students. But there is the first students as well that is equal. That's what you're going after there. That's hard work because our culture, our schools, our church, everything has said the stage is the platform, whether it be a teacher, we get up and teach, a preacher gets up and preach, a government official gets up and speaks. Everybody is listening. It's always come and sit and listen. Well, we're flying in the face of that saying, okay, our job as adults now is not to have a stage. It's to build that stage for the students. And that is super messy because what comes out of those kids' mouth isn't polished, isn't clean, isn't always the truth of the gospel, right?
Come on.
It's just what they've heard and what they think, and it's not even what they believed oftentimes. It's just the first thing that comes out because they haven't put it all together yet.
They're in process.
They're putting it together as the words come out of their mouth. And but there's fruit there.
There is.
Because those kids, if you get into the sticky faith and some of the Fuller Institute things.
You're going where I was going to go.
Well, you go there.
Well, you talk about the latest research in youth ministry. And one of the 3 things that keeps a student after high school is, were they missional in any way, shape, or form? So 33% minimum. One of the 3 things that keeps them following the faith of their high school into college is, was there a missional opportunity? The other 2 we can discuss in another podcast, but if it's that important, if it's one of the 3, then if you are youth ministry driven, you have to at least consider it. You have to at least come up with the idea that, wow, maybe me being front is not best for the transformation of Johnny, who's trying to figure out what it means to be called to his campus. Or to survive his campus. Maybe he even doesn't feel a call yet, right? But surviving his campus has to do with living a life that is authentically following Jesus. And as messed up as it is. And that's the beauty of the coaching part of it, right? Go do it. Come here. Let's fix that. Let's fix that.
Did you
go
really
do it.
mean?
Go do it. Come here. Which is why we don't do invite week every week. Right? It's why there's invite week, and then we've got a couple weeks that we work through all the things.
Equip and prepare.
Exactly.
And connect.
And then start right all over again.
That's right. It's good. What's next? We going into the more with that? I mean, we're going into 24 saying this is the same mission, same niche, same ministry, new year, new opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go back into the old mission vision, we got into we're a local church engaged, we're student led, gospel focused, and strategy based, right? Those are those four things that was a statement. Now there are core values. Those are the things that we value as a ministry.
Okay, so say them again slowly so everybody can, if they're listening and they happen to be taking notes, say them again slowly.
I have to remember student led, gospel focused, local church engaged.
There you go.
And strategy based.
Yep.
We have that strategy in there. So those four things are what kind of are on that foundation that we're taking the hope of Christ to every student reaching students, but then we don't do it without the local church. This is the
there you go.
Campus ministry arm, the student going to the middle of school, the middle of the high school. That is our niche. That's where we are. That's the spoke in the youth ministry wheel that we fill in that.
Yeah, and so I'll go all the way down to the base of that. You know, if we're uniting the local church around the campus and little Johnny shows up who's part of a Methodist youth group, good for him. He doesn't realize that the Baptist kids that are just coming back from winter camp are on his team. He may not realize that the girls that have the Bible study that are part of the more Pentecostal group in the school, that they're on the same team, right? Well, why doesn't he realize that? Well, because that's not the typical way that the church views themselves outside of his paradigm.
Yeah.
So now we go into his paradigm and we say, actually, on your campus, you're one. What do you mean we're one? Well, you're one. You're one body of Christ.
One group of people. Yep.
Exactly. One group of people that are pursuing the same thing.
Yep.
And here's good news. All of you are a hot mess.
Yep.
So let's be a hot mess together, figuring out Jesus.
Yeah.
And then watch you begin to be the gospel.
Yeah. And I can go into Romans.
Well, Romans 12, 1 Corinthians 12, all day long.
Is that it? Romans 10 is where I was going.
Okay, what's Romans 10?
Well, everyone who calls the name of the Lord will be saved.
Yep.
And then goes through the questions, which is why we have to send, right? If it's on us as adults to send them, because if we don't send them, they don't preach. If they don't preach, they can't hear. And if they don't hear, they can't respond, right? And they can't call in the name of the Lord
and
to be saved.
Are the feet of those who bring the good news.
Correct. So we need to be clear on that we need to send to those students because it is our human nature and the nature of the teenagers to assume that they're alone in the school as a believer, right? Okay. So they walk into that setting. It reminds me of, I was talking to a guy who runs some pizza franchises, and he said it's great to have a conversation in the public squares because you're not expecting it, right? You don't expect to have a Christian believing commonality there, but as soon as you see it, you get excited.
Yeah.
And so students also don't expect it in the school. And in the school, maybe even more than in a pizza franchise, they say that it's not allowed and that they can't and they shouldn't and whatever other word you want to put in there. So not only do they feel alone, they feel like they can't and they shouldn't. And so we, all the more as adults, need to have the responsibility to send to them and say, you can, and you, if you're called, should.
All right, so let's jump into the next layer of same and new focus.
Okay.
Right, because if we're thinking about the vast majority, we've laid out in years past, and I'll say it again because it's the first one new year, right? There are really three specific audiences that catch up with this conversation.
Okay.
And we hope that it is a conversation where beyond laughing at Brad and I acting like dum-dums to one another, right? That you get a good laugh out of it.
It's not an act.
Okay. It was an act for me, but I guess not. There are three people that really engage this conversation.
Okay.
People, one, are staffers.
Yep. Right.
The people that are for a living. This is what God's called them to.
Mm-hmm.
People, two, are the campus coaches or the faculty sponsors that are on campus looking for encouragement, looking for clarity, right? And then people, three, is that very, very small group, but it does happen, of that ultra motivated teenager that with or without an adult, they're still going to take their campus, right? Whether they have a coach or not. So that's kind of our three layers of audience, right? So when I think of the very first one, I wrote down three things this year that I think will be helpful for us as we talk about new and same focus. And so number one was keep it clear.
Yep.
Keep the model clear.
Yeah.
Everything that you just said in stating students reach students, right?
Yep.
And everything that you just said about who we are.
Yep.
Let's stay with that model. It's so easy because of all the good ideas that are out there to get off of who we are now. We're pretty clear.
Yep.
Right? We're an evangelism-based organization where students are learning to share the gospel to their peers. And we have a plan that we help them do that.
Yep. That's right.
So that's number one. Number two, right, is ask. And I sent this out. You saw this the other day. Ask audaciously. Right? I think one of the areas for 2024 is that we need to take God at his word. This came out of Luke 11. And we need to ask him as if he is in charge.
Yeah.
And that the campus was his first.
Yeah.
And that these students, that he loves them far beyond what we do. That's kind of one of those big steps where you kind of have to put your stuff down and go, yeah, I didn't love them first. He absolutely loved them before we did.
That's right.
So keep it clear, ask audaciously, and then let's be our spoke. Let's be who we are.
Do what we do.
Let's do what we do. And I think sometimes when those things are said, we make it sound like we're the bread and butter that is campus ministry. And so I just want to say it out loud so everybody hears it.
Yep.
We're just a piece of it. There's lots going on in campuses all over the country.
Oh, yeah.
Lots.
Yep.
In many names and logos.
Yep.
We just want to play our role.
We do.
And we want to do it better than anybody else.
Well, we are.
Great.
No, I agree with you. It was one of the healthiest moments for me as a first priority staff member. I read Brian's book from LA, and I'm forgetting the details, but he felt called by God in the 90s to start a campus middle and high school ministry and to reach every school in LA. And for me, I learned from him reading his book, but I also was like, okay, our goal is to take the hope of Christ to every student in the United States.
Yep.
But we really don't need to, because God is taking the hope of Christ to every student in the United States. He's calling Brian over in LA. He's calling Steve in Nashville.
Yep.
I get to play my role even in the first part of America part where
he's calling Travis Deans in Pittsburgh.
Correct.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. Keep going. Who's not a first priority guy, but is one of us.
Yeah. All of them. So it's a calling, and yeah, it's kind of that tension, I guess, is where I'm going. Cause I did jokingly say we are doing it better. I think we do it very well, but we don't know what the culture's like in Pittsburgh. So Travis Deans is there. God's placed him there. He's planted him there. He's gifted him. And celebrate what he's doing
all
there.
Over the Northeast.
Correct. And it's amazing what God's using, how he's using him. So it's just fun to be a part of it.
Well, and I developed for our team a 3.
Okay.
Right. There are 3 things that we do every day. And so again, as we begin to wind down a beginning of the new year, really being clear on our mission and vision, being clear on our core values, being clear on who we are and what we do, right?
Yep.
For our teams, there are 3 things that I ask them about on a regular basis, right? And what are our 3, guys? What are our 3? Well, number 1, we train students to either execute Epic or Hope, depending on what part of the country they're in, right?
Yep.
It's a 4-week strategy that trains students to share the gospel.
Yep.
We train students. Number 2, we build networks.
Yep.
Those networks support the movements on the campus. They pray for them. They provide meals for them. They show up and care for the faculty that are there with them. They provide human beings that can coach them, right? Those networks are on purpose. We're providing the necessary support. No different than a football team, a band group, right? No different, right? A beta club, a chess club, those there are there to support. And the last one is we raise partners. We invite people into the story. And for our staffers, that includes them raising financial help, but it also includes people just saying, hey, I need you to take on this campus. We've been praying for this campus. Story from 2023. We've got a campus that Jacob serves.
Yeah.
We've prayed for 14 years. We've had 2 false starts on that campus where we thought, man, this is going to happen.
Yep.
Nothing. Jacob gets put in place last year, the beginning of the fall semester of this school year.
Yep.
And right away, that school exploded. 14 years. We've been praying for 14 years for that stinking high school.
Yeah.
And that the classroom they started in, they've outgrown. They've had so many kids come to Christ.
Wow.
So just the idea of telling people, yep, I get it. You can't pack a box for us. I get it, right? You can't come to a location and do widget things. I wish you could. It'd be cool. But What you can do is understand that what we're doing is raising an army of hope.
Yep.
Because we're equipping them to be the people that distribute that hope, right? Yep. So pray for us, provide for us, call and ask, what do you need, right?
Yeah.
So what are the three things? We train students, we build networks, and we raise partners. Yep. And we do it over and over and over again as staffers.
Yep. I mean, and it's as simple as that. I got a quarterly meeting today with Fort Worth, and that's what we talk about. Used a slightly different language than what you're doing, but yeah, we raise financial partners, network the church, and launch clubs.
Yep.
And everything we do revolves around that. So for the next 3 months, there's events, they're fundraising things going on. There's teacher appreciation, volunteer appreciation. We're starting to think about the end of the school year, even though it's January.
Gosh.
And moving into the third and the fourth quarter of our fiscal year, because summer is our beginning and ending.
Yep.
And so, what does that look like? But it's all raised around raising money, networking the church, launching clubs. If we can stay focused in on those things, we can take the hope of Christ to every student.
So let me have you project to June 30th of this school year.
Mm-hmm.
There's one outcome, one thing that you see from how many networks and how many chapters and districts are there now?
We still count in 25.
Okay, so from the 25 chapters and districts, there's one outcome that when you look out there, you see it's being accomplished. What's that one?
Well, I mean, ultimately, again, going back to the success, students reaching students, right? That second students, I think we break 10,000 new believers again this year as the success. That's where it comes back to say, but I also believe it might be a little bit of a stretch, but I don't think it's too much of a stretch. We don't start as many clubs in the spring semester, and I'm not sure this is the answer you're going for.
It is.
But we're at 957.
It is.
And I think we're going to hit 1,000 before
I do too.
May. So that'll be the first time that we have hit 1,000 clubs in first priority. Pre-COVID, we hit 877, dropped back down to like 300 during COVID. It was crazy, but we're going to be back at 1,000, over 10,000 kids. I think we were just shy of 5,000 pre-Christmas, and usually we're at 4. Low fours.
You hit the softball I threw to you.
Okay.
Yeah, the reality was that if I can project out to June 30th, we finish Q4.
Yep.
And we're all having these conversations in the chapters and the districts.
Yep.
I do foresee that we're going to be over 1,000 schools.
Yep.
And we're going to be able to celebrate. And here's the beauty. Our joy, God's glory.
Yes.
Right? 1,000 schools, praise God. That's hilarious.
Right.
What did we do, right?
Yep.
We didn't do anything. I can't take responsibility for that.
Yep.
Our joy, 10,000 kids have rang the bell this school year.
Yep.
Hey, I want to make a decision for Jesus.
Yep.
That's incredible. Our joy, God's glory. But I do see that. And the snowball that is currently rolling down the hill when it comes to this movement says that the year after that school year after that is even going to be better.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of momentum, a lot of growth. It feels like everybody came out of COVID, some fast, some slower than others, but everybody healthy.
That's right.
We're growing and moving and staying focused. So it's going to be a good year.
It is. New focus, same focus. Here we go. No.
New year, same focus.
New year, same focus?
New year, same focus.
All right.
Come on.
I'll take it.
You'll take it? Sounds good. Well, I appreciate it, Steve.
Yeah, good combo.
Yeah. Thanks for laying it out, being a part of this.
Here we go, 2024.
Till next week.
See ya.